Okay, cool. The lighting here is a little fucking intense. It's all right. So another week. It's Friday morning. Um, in Maine. Today's my last day in Maine. I'm headed down to Boston today to spend the weekend there, teaching some workshops on public speaking and also some like workshops on quitting school and starting your own school. So I've been kind of building up to that for a while, and I'm filming a comedy sketch today, physics comedy sketch. So I'm real stoked about that. That's been a long time coming. So a lot of cool things going on this weekend. I'm excited about. Um, feel pretty good. I had gone like a couple of weeks without taking the omega-3 supplement because for some reason while I was up here in Maine, I was having trouble finding the vegan version. And so then I was up in Portland earlier this week and I got my hands on some. So it kind of made me wonder, like, as I've been reading Anatomy of an Epidemic and looking at, like, the devastation that comes to your system and psyche from, like, quitting something cold turkey, like a psychiatric med, it kind of made me wonder, like, oh, geez, if I just stop taking one of these supplements cold turkey, like, what will that do to me? Is that going to, like, throw me off big time? But I didn't think it really made, like, a huge difference. I mean, I feel like I've gotten kind of like fired up this week a little bit. I tried to run one of those like school sucks workshops on Wednesday, and again had nobody show up. So I've been trying like all these different ways to promote these things. I mean, not that many different ways, but like Facebook and Instagram, like doing ads on there, telling people like, "Hey, school sucks. Do you feel bullied? You know, left behind?" Whoa, I don't even know what to make of that. What just happened? Okay, like I've got some answers. Come to my workshop. I'll tell you everything I know. Um, you know, um, the video pitch is much better than this. This is fucking like just casually and poorly rehearsed. So anyways, like nobody was coming, and I'm like, all right, like maybe like they're just not interested. Maybe it's a pain to get to the library. Maybe I'm choosing the wrong time of day. Maybe these young kids like don't have transportation, or maybe they just feel anxious like going to an event in a vulnerable way. Like if school sucks for them, maybe they don't really feel like comfortable going to an event where they're going to be in a room and I don't know. Or maybe they just don't fucking care and aren't interested. But it seemed like people were like clicking on it, like watching it and being interested. So I got this idea of like maybe doing it as like an online course. I just did this like kind of online marketing course. I mean, not even like a course. It wasn't like, oh, I signed up to take a class. It was free, but it was like a free 30-day online marketing program where like each day they give you a video teaching you something new. So I thought like, what if I take all this stuff and like make it free and put it online? I mean, I thought it'd be cool to do a live event, but maybe that's not the best way to do it. Maybe it'd be easier for kids just to get it online. I don't know. But I had a really shitty thing happen earlier this week. Somebody, like fairly prominent member of the unschooling community, sent me some messages telling me that I didn't belong working with unschoolers and that I don't understand anything about it and that I shouldn't be telling people about unschooling and talking to people about it and spreading the message and that I'm inserting myself somewhere that I don't belong, which really upset me, this whole idea of like not belonging. She said I was inserting myself somewhere that I don't belong. And it's like, and like her thing is that she's all about helping parents. And like a lot of people, unschooling is like a parent-child relationship thing. And like I respect that, I get that. At the same time, like there's a shitload of kids that are miserable and stuck in school. And like, should we just ignore these kids? And she's like, oh, well, why don't you create an alternative education program? I'm like, all right, I guess you could call it that, alternative education. And like I thought I was being nice and like really respectful, and she was being really cold and kind of mean to me, I felt like. And then and I was like trying to like get advice, so I asked some people. Like I asked Marilyn, the woman I'm staying with who runs the new school, and like, what do you think? And she's like, well, ask her what you recommend you do. And she's like, well, why don't you start an online school? Not Marilyn didn't say it. The woman who was being a dick to me said that. This is Facebook message, and I was like, well, that sounds kind of gross. Online school, yuck. like as a joke. And she's like, what's really gross is a young man with no children, a young single man with no children hanging out with a bunch of unschoolers. That's gross. It's like, fuck you. Like, what do I look like, Kevin Spacey or something? Like, that's like really fucking discriminatory to say, like, because I don't have kids, I can't do something, or because I'm not married, I can't do something, or because I'm a man, I can't do something. I don't know. It just seemed a little. And I've like had this fucking backlash before, like when I was in North Carolina earlier this year. I had some people that didn't like a single man with no children attending the conference. And last fall, I don't know if I had been making these videos yet, but I had somebody actually threaten me at a conference saying, like, if, because I was doing something on the internet involving teenagers and potentially their kids. And they were really freaked out by the idea that I might interact with their kids on the internet. And I was fucking pissed, And also sad, like, like, I don't know, it just made me sad. Like, am I doing something wrong? Like, here's this thing I really believe in. Is it all, like, am I going in this thing blind, like, actually doing harm when I think I'm doing good? That happens a lot. Like, people tamper with things thinking they're changing the world for the good, and then, bad things happen. Like the guy, there was a good analogy I heard recently, the guy that invented the, some type of lamp for miners. So, like, when back in the day, the lights would go out, miners would get like lost or die in the mine shafts, and so some guy invented a fancy light that saved lives. Like, people weren't getting lost and dying in there. But then they were spending more time in mine shafts, and so more of them were getting like lung cancer and disease. So here's this idea that helped, and then in the end, it like fucking killed everybody. So, but overall, I feel good. I've been going like hiking like almost every day. I've been really enjoying that every morning. And I'll be headed back to Connecticut for like a week. So next week is Thanksgiving, so I'll spend some time with family. And then see what comes up next. I don't know if I mentioned this. I was excited. Like, I helped a little bit with this mental health activism group to get a grant. And they got the grant. So I'm going to do some work with this group, kind of finding ways to help people that are being involuntarily committed, involuntarily drugged, medicated against their will. And so it feels good to be doing some work in that world. Like, feel like, okay, now I can like make some kind of a contribution and impact. And I'm going to meet with my doctor this coming week and talk to her about getting off of Seroquel. Because I've been off of Lamictal probably for like a month and a half, maybe 2 months now. It's time to get the next one down. All right. The lighting here has been real bad. Sorry about that.